Hey, excuse the strict buns, but it's hot. And it's the new moon. I told you, anytime something happens with the moon, it happens to me too. I was like, this morning. First of all, this morning I woke up like, going, something's different. And as I move on through my morning, I start to realize I feel very, very feminine. I'm like, what is happening? And I look in I just knew that it was going to be a lunar situation. And I remember, yes, that's right. It's the new moon. It's the second. I still haven't seen it. Like I said before, she lets me know, or she will appear to me when I'm ready to see her, I guess. But like tonight, that's not happening. Sometimes that happens, where the calendar says, full moon or new moon, and I come out and like nothing. But then, like I said before, sometimes, divine timing happens. I am forced to go out at a particular time, or something tells me I think it's time. I gotta go outside. And as I do, there she is. I couldn't see her today, but I know that she's out there because I can feel her. Yeah, I spend all day doing my hair, doing yoga, working on my legs. Yeah, I told you I have a list. And then what happened? Oh yeah, while I was doing yoga. But basically, I've been just having like what's the word? Self-care day. Because that's literally what my spirit was calling me for, or asking me to do. So I did, and I just been following my spirit's signals, like do this, do that. And I tell you, I've been just spending the day just singing to myself, I'm so pretty, oh so pretty. Doing yoga, pointing my toes all damn day long. But there is an object to my madness. As you can see, if I do my hair like that and then I take it down, I get awesome waviness in my hair. I mean, imagine, I'm almost 50, like I said, and my whole life acting this way, or attending to the beckonings of my spirit. This stuff was shameful, and guess what would happen? As soon as I would get anywhere close to the vicinity of it, shame would come in. Raised Catholic and whatnot, guilt, and most of all that I was doing something bad. When in actuality is a definition of the people on this terrestrial plane, which really, who really have absolutely no clue what is really happening, and they just come up with these stories of why it's happening. Oh, you're an abomination. No, what's an abomination? Abomination is having a person called God's child, one of many of God's children, an abomination. Like you're putting down God's children. Understand what I'm saying? Like, who are you? I'm not saying you, but the person who decides, to put down people in the LGBTQ community because they're trans, because they're gay, because they're lesbian, because they don't have any children, or whatever other things you want to pile on. Why are you picking on God's children? Why are you putting them down? Why are you criticizing them? Why are you judging them to the point that you call them unnatural? What's unnatural is behaving like you do. Again, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who decide that they're gonna sit and be judge and executioner for God. God don't need your help. God don't need your help. This is why the perfect system was implemented. That what you give, you get. So it is not about bad luck. It is not that the Democrats are messing you up, or that people are taking your jobs, or whatever other story you want to tell yourself. It is the fact that you're paying for whatever offenses you have committed against God's children. That's how simple it is. Your life will never improve as long as you continue to be hateful and continue to take this stand that, I'm just doing God's work. God's work, like I said, God don't need your help. God is almighty and powerful. It doesn't need the help of some dweeb with issues. See, that's my masculine side coming out. Isn't it cool just going side to side, back and forth, you just move side to side, like a ship, bam, See, I can do that too. What's wrong with that? Again, I'm from the school of Jeet Kune Do, and it's to practice total freedom. That you can't have the silly notions that, I can't do that, because even though it could be something that could just make your fighting game that much more, effective, or just make your life that much more effective. These are silly notions, silly rules that people impose on other people, and meanwhile we have these poor people who can't be themselves, trying to find some escapes, like, how do I get out of my own skin, because I can't stand who I am living with in here, because there's miscommunication there between the person and its own or her own spirit. So this is, I get upset, But thinking of what happened to me, it makes me feel like, wait a second, that happened to me, where a lot of people were, trying to control my fate, trying to control my actions, trying to control who I was, and basically dictate, no, we don't want you doing that weird crap. We want you to behave like we told you to behave. And the moment you start showing any kind of, like this is so plain and simple, to identify a narcissist. When anywhere they are, they're always a center of attention, right? But for us in my home, it was always, sitting at the kitchen table, at the dining room table, and, just having dinner. And my dad would never shut up about his accomplishments, how amazing he was, and just sit there and just, tell you so just this or that, and just kind of brainwashing you into believing that he was almighty and powerful and he was the best and whatnot. And there's plenty of examples that I can give you in the current politics, scheme or scenario and scenery, that you will see, that there's a lot of people that behave that way, just like my dad did. So when these people, come around, it's like, how can nobody tell that these people are so awful, because I had experience with it. So, one time, when I got that perm, remember that I told you that my Aunt Pili gave me a half perm, just the top was a perm. Well, I told you that my parents were upset, but I didn't tell you that my dad asked me to go on a walk with him, which he never did. He never ever asked me, hey, go with me. I always had to beg him, hey, can I go with you? It's like, okay, come on. Yeah, but this time he asked me to go. I'm like, okay, but I knew that he was upset with me because of the hair. I know what's going on, right? So I take off with him. We don't get 2 blocks, and he starts ringing me about my hair. Well, I didn't know I had a girl. what are you, a pansy, and this and that. He starts, do you like boys? You start, it's just criticizing me, putting me down, telling me how disappointed he was, and what the hell am I gonna do with the hair, and how you're gonna change it, or he was just threatening me, or and telling me how awful was to have a son like me, or just to that effect. He was, but the thing about it, he was doing it in the street. Like, why couldn't you just do it at home like you always do? This time it was in public. It was out and about. Like, I couldn't do anything but just let this man, talk my ear out and insult me, and just basically make me feel like I was nothing, and like I was laying him down, that I wasn't the boy enough for him, and I was bringing shame to him and whatnot. It was all pretty scarring, as you can imagine. But the reason why I bring it up is because it's been like that for other people as well, for you watching, and the matters of the spirit are so foreign to these people that they could never imagine that your spirit is actually beckoning you to go there, and when you respond and you say, okay, let's go, you find happiness. Like in my case, I found my identity, my purpose, basically I realized, oh, well, that's my nature. I mean, this is why I behave the way I behave, so everything's like clicking and going, oh, well, that makes sense. And like I said, this morning I woke up like something's different, because there is such a thing as cycles, especially those toxic cycles. And like I said, I've been trying to shake them all off, because again, I'm trying to get rid of the garbage. I don't want to do this again. I wanna move up, and like I've been explaining in the last few videos, I've been going through ascension symptoms, and that makes it even harder and whatnot. But again, this morning I woke up and I was a little hangover. I must admit that, but and because I do like my drinking, but like I said, when I drink, I sing songs, But this morning it's just like, I think that's it. I don't want to drink tonight. I'm still right now. I'm like, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I just don't feel like it. Everything like changed, and like I said, there are such thing as toxic cycles that sometimes you can repeat, and this is what the new moon brought me, a whole new life. Because now that I found out about my purpose, now that I found out about my true identity, that the whole time that people were stopping me from being in the water, my nature was calling me, because that was home to me, because that's what Mintaka was back when I used to live there. And those visions that I had about children being in this big huge room, and outside there were all these huge, these thousands of ships, it explained to me that that's when my home was. We had to leave our home, and a lot of us ended up landing here on Earth because for obvious reasons, the water. But it also explains that dark water really scares the crap out of me, because in Mintaka the waters were clear and pristine. They were it almost seemed like air, and finding all of that, it fills in the holes into this puzzle that I had going about my life. I used to have dreams, running dreams, that I was looking for home and I could never find it. It's because Mintaka was destroyed. It's no longer there. What you see is the image that was there millions and millions of years ago, light years ago. Millions? I don't know how many, but it's been a long time. So my home is not there anymore. And that is the sense of, feeling like a foreigner in a foreign land. I mean, talk about being a foreigner. I mean, I'm a Mexican in the United States, but it's almost, again, symbolic to who I am, because anywhere I walk in, anywhere I go, I don't feel like I belong. So, that explains that part of my nature, and being that I grew up in a place where I was not allowed to swim, or there was no places where I could find water, and the water like back home, and to come to realize that these the itch for the entertainment world was there, because as a light worker, what's a light worker gonna do but keep shining? And this is how I transmit. This is how we all help each other. This is how beautiful the plan is, that we all have different jobs, and we all fill this job, and as you fulfill your own purpose, your own job, you're setting up other people with that particular thing that you're helping them with. You see, so like everybody's got a job to do, and everybody helps everybody. And in my case, by shining, by doing what I'm talented at, not only do I bring light into people's lives, but also it's the light of knowledge and wisdom, the light of happiness, the light of joy and bliss, because I'm doing something that makes me feel blissful, and I mean, and liberating, because I mean, to speak, to let this sound out, it's a release, it's cleansing, and aside from informative, because a lot of the times, as instruments, all we do is just all of a sudden, boom, we just stop in, and all of a sudden we're communicating ideas that is like, was that mine? No, probably not. Like Paul McCartney, right? Is that mine? It's this information is half the time when I'm speaking it, I don't even, I when I say it, I'm like, oh my God, did you just hear yourself? Yeah, you heard myself. And I don't know. I'm not in control of these things, it's a transmission, but the reason why, speaking about my life to you guys is to explain a lot of the headaches that living in a society like ours can bring to people like us, people who have visions, feelings, and ideas that don't click with what is acceptable, and it's like, well, where do I fit in? Well, you fit in. It's just when you are being revealed certain things about you, about your life and your nature and your purpose, again, it's abstract. It's like, what? This is why when we're shown symbols, we go like, what? When we have dreams, we wake up like, what? Because we're meant to look into the symbols, and those symbols are the breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs lead you to your purpose, your finding out about your true identity, your nature, and what the plan is. It's a beautiful thing, because me with all these feminine traits, I find that it's like things started to click on even more. Like I mentioned before, back in 2012, I was like, I feel like circuits or little lights are turning on inside me. It was because this stuff happens and you can't explain it. You just can only, kind of explain it the way you can. But again, everything seems pretty abstract or strange and out of the ordinary, and later on you get a chance to find more information and fill in the holes, and you go, oh, look at this, so this is where I've been on the last few weeks, really the last few years, but the last few weeks has it just keeps speeding up, and it always takes me to the Alchemist, and Santiago gets the crap beat out of him, before he gets to his treasure. He finds out, and he was glorifying the alchemist's name. It's like, you knew that I would lose that money, and that's why you put some left there for me. You put it aside for me so I could, have some. You knew, you old rascal. It's like that. It's like that because when things happen in your life, you're just like, you knew. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It makes everything worth it. Again, there's nothing that I would have loved more than be an actual girl. But just so happens I was encased. My spirit was encased in this male body, and I think that I'm not quite clear on the plan there, but I think it is, so I can explain my experiences and how my natural tendencies were held back or stifled, where I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what was what. And this is what I want to implore all of you guys to raise your children differently than you were raised. I mentioned this in another video because they deserve better. They didn't ask to be here, and they should be understood. And instead of being told, hey, kid, I tell you what to do, and this is what you are, and this is what you do. Instead, just ask, pay attention to the kid, because they're always going to be showing you what their tendencies are. And as soon as that happens, it's as easy as just accepting exactly what it is. It could be an ability in science. It could be an ability in sports. It could be anything. The point is that this child has work to do. And those skills are literally signifying or letting us know that the skills have a lot to do with it. This is why they're so good at certain things, and because to stifle a child's progression or growth, it's criminal. Honestly, it's criminal, especially when it's done on purpose. Like, oh no, I don't want my kid to turn out that way. It's like, but it's not up to you. This is what's in the kid's spirits, in the DNA, and the coding of this child's spirit. It's gonna come up, and if you try to hide it, you try to bury it, it's gonna give us the wrong results. Because think about every single teenager that you see out there. What do they look like? A lot of them, they don't look happy, and they remind me of when I was that age. This is why I tell everybody, do you really want to go to being a teenager? Oh yeah, that was so much fun. It was high school and everything. Really? How confusing it was. Do you want to really go back to that? But the point is that this world beats the crap out of every single human being on this plane. As soon as they get into school, the child starts being tormented by these ideas that go against that of the spirit, and the child gets to see mean things and people doing atrocities, and that's shocking for a child. That a lot of the times it's like this big tornado of bad situations that make a child just kind of start hiding themselves, and then by the time they get to being teenagers, junior high school, they have become so cynical. And it's not on them, it's just they've been burnt. They have seen that there's no point, that life is bleak, and you look at them and just like, you would feel that way, and you did. And this is why, because of the confusion. Because in a society where they deter you from your natural tendencies, again, just look at the accusations and the demonizing of the LGBTQ community, or of cat ladies, single women. We're seeing this because the same types killed a lot of us in other ages. You see what I'm saying? With the same excuses. Oh, it's unnatural and God this says that you should die, and this is just the workings of crazy people that should have absolutely no influence in our lives, and they shouldn't anymore because of the times. It's about time. It's on schedule. We are on schedule, that we're meant to move on from the confines of the old, of the past, of those who gaslit us into believing that they were the ones in charge, when really there's no such a thing. Like, nobody's in charge, because nobody can control this thing. Maybe they may act like they do, but no. Life keeps going. Things keep happening, but these people have crazy ideas and crazy theories about what happens. You see, God punished you. You see what I'm saying? Like, why would God punish you? God doesn't punish you, again, because there's that perfect system of as you give, you get. Plain and simple. So yeah, I grew up I grew through a childhood, or my childhood as I was growing up was made terrible, so I could have those experiences and today point them out to you and say, you know what, if you had something like this, forget about it, because you didn't do anything wrong. You're just trying to be your most natural self, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because up to this point, nobody has been able to explain what the Spirit is, if we should, consider what the Spirit has to say. Nobody, because nobody really talks about this kind of stuff. Even though everyone has a spirit. Yet nobody talks about it. Nobody considers, that, hey, maybe a gay kid, maybe a boy who wants to be a girl, or basically because inside he or she feels like a girl. It's as simple as that. The memory in this child's spirit says so. The coding, it's in this kid's DNA, and this is why that child finds naturalness, a pliability, and a fluidity doing those things. It's because it's what his or her spirit was doing in other lifetimes, just picking up from where he or she left off. It's as simple as that. Instead of demonizing, why again? These people demonize because they come from a low perspective. They're in a low vibration, and this is what low vibrational people come up with, because they're really too much in tune with entities from a lower vibration. I mean, they're feeding them the bad ideas, basically. And this is why when you encounter a situation where people want to hurt you and kill you in the name of God, you can stand there safely and ask for help and point out that these freaking people are crazy and they're trying to kill me, they're trying to hurt me. They say that they speak for God when there isn't such a thing, because God will never ask you to hurt anybody. That's ego stuff. That's ego stuff. I mean, think about it. How many lives have been lost over ego stuff, not having to do at all with God and its laws and its rules and it's the way justice is delivered? You understand that all the gaslighting, it's just that I'm up to here with that stuff, because I spent time with people like that in my childhood again, so I could gain that experience and tell you guys all about it. That this is nothing but just stories that these people have been telling us, filling our hearts with fear and shame and guilt. This is why, again, every single teenager out there is so burnt. They're burnt out. They're tired of, is this it? Honestly, I mean, if you remember that scene in Dazed and Confused, where they're pretty much sitting in the car just talking about their futures and going, like, what the hell is the point? Because the way the game is set up, there's no point to it. It's like, you have to become your parents, or you have to, that kind of idea. It's like, oh, how much longer do we have to do that? How many generations have been paying the price for the decisions of other people that never take into consideration what the Spirit wants? The Spirit is in control of everything. The Spirit is running the show. Maybe consulting with the Spirit, it's like cutting off the middleman and just really getting the answers from the horse's mouth. I mean, honestly. So this is why, now I've been so happy today, because the new moon, and I felt all girlish and stuff, and I honored those calls. I honored those tendencies. I honored that part of me. Because again, once the angels and your guides and the ancestors and beings of higher dimensions, they tell you, they reveal to you who you are, you understand how beautiful you are. And there is no way that we would go back to the old life. So, talking about this whole old life, it reminded me, of the life that I used to have with these people, that they took a lot from me. They squeezed me because, I was gaslit into doing it. So much that a child realizes, oh, well, that's love. And then I ended up marrying a person who was just like my grandmother, just like my mother, just like my father. Another narcissistic, controlling psychopath. But what I did as a Mentacan, I look at everything with rose tint glasses, as I heard this morning, because we have this tendency of always looking at the brighter side of things, and it is because we're just chipper like that. This is what we do. We elevate people's moods and vibrations. That's, again, it's instinctive. We're doing it without even thinking. And my tendency is to do that, is to open myself a lot to people, to be helpful to people, and back in those days, I used to open myself and be helpful to people, the wrong people, basically. And like I said, pretty soon your schedule is full with, doing stuff for other people, being available for other people, and, you end up all like a raisin, like a prune, all completely dried out and, sucked away because people are taking from you. And the whole time, they don't understand why you're so unhappy. And then the whole time they know that you're unhappy, or maybe they don't want to think about it, but they should have an idea that you're unhappy because you're not being allowed to be you. But then again, once you accomplish those things that make you, for instance, you have goals and you attain them, well, that's still another situation for these people, because now they find you as competition, or they find you as, he thinks he's better than us, and you get that kind of stuff too, So again, I went through it, so you guys don't have to. Or if you did, and you feel bad about it, I'm telling you, don't, because it wasn't your fault. It's not your fault at all. I mean, I feel like Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault, but think about what a child who's been tortured all their life, how would they welcome that statement? It's not your fault. The stuff that you've been punishing yourself with all these years, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that other people judge you wrong. It's not your fault that they don't know who you really are. It's not your fault that they want to force you into being something you're not. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything. In fact, all of these drives, all of these tendencies, all of these quirks, all of these ways that you're being asked to behave by your spirit, you find that the more you welcome that side of you, the happier you get. So who's wrong here? If it makes you happy, it can't be bad, right? If it makes you happy, then why are you so sad? Because that conflicting idea, right, that has been introduced into our minds when the spirit says one thing and then society says another. And you have conflict, and that's when we get stressed, that's when we get depressed, that's when we get anxious, because now we have this other outlook that we have to consider, what they have to say, what the rules say about this. When listening to the spirit would make it so much easier on everybody. Like I said before, if you listen to your spirit, then nobody gets hurt. Because not listening to our spirit has made us into this confused bunch that have no direction, no purpose, and no thirst to live, because what for? It's the same thing. Everything is bleak and boring, and horrible, Gotta wait until Friday night so I can, be happier, and then Sunday night I'm going, damn it, I gotta go back. It's a nightmare. And everybody's taking that nightmare pill, and the solution is listening to our spirit. And then all of the confusion, all of the gaslighting, the manipulation, the problems, the wars, the violence, all of that would go away. Because if you steal, you wouldn't be able to convince anybody that, oh, it wasn't me. Because everybody is in tune with their spirit and in tune with yours, and it's like, you're lying. Nobody would be able to get away with any crimes, because the spirit will be in control of everything. It's like, oh, we smell you. We'll smell you later, buddy, because we can't have you around. You're no good for us, if you're going to behave that way. It's the spirit is in control of the whole show. We're like, dolphins. I don't know if you can hear my whales. Mentecan, And I forgot what I was going to say now. The Mentecan thing took me off trail. But being then I'm doing another long video again. I want to thank you for sticking around this long and watching the videos and leaving your comments. I love you all for mentioning or telling me that my purpose is helping. Is you find meaning in the words that I say, you find help or information, whether you like the videos, that you like the content. It happened today, as if the pain and the suffering and the bleakness of the past, I finally walked through that curtain. I swooshed it aside, and I'm living my purpose to the fullest, bringing light to all situations, because that's who I am. I'm a warrior of light, and I'm always gonna be bringing the light, holding the light, holding the line. Talk to you guys later.